have 60 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You have 60 seconds to comply. This is minute 43.
Part man.
Part machine.
All pod.
This minute begins with Dick saying, you know, he's a sweet old man. And ends with Dr. Tyler looking at the results of what I can only assume is the results of some kind of EEG thing? I don't know.
That's one of my notes, is the return of Tyler.
Yay. The best character.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I stand Tyler.
Yes.
And...
On 60 seconds to comply, we stand Dr. Tyler.
Yeah, official stand. The sad thing is we've only got a few more minutes left with her, and then she disappears forever from our lives.
No, I have to write some erotic fan fiction about it.
We've just got to cherish every one of these next few minutes, and, you know, we'll just hold a celebration. We'll do a montage at the end, reminiscing about all the great moments of Tyler.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. You know.
I don't know who I ship her with, really. I like just watching this very professional woman doing her job very well, very competently. She's great.
Yeah, I don't think she deserves... No, I think she deserves happiness. I don't think she deserves to be shipped with anyone in this movie.
No, she's too good for them all.
Yeah, she's definitely better than all of them. Maybe Lewis, but that's probably some that's a term I haven't thought about in a while. PSLing. PSLs, perverse sexual lust. Anyway.
Yes.
My first note is, now kiss.
Yes. He's grabbing the hair, he's up in his face. It's
Yeah. You know, this is the kind of footage you want to put, like, Careless Whisper up against.
Yes. So it's funny that Dick keeps going on about, the old man, and, I am second in command, and going on about it. And you're not exactly a spring chicken yourself, Dick. It's not...
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie Cox is still with us, and, like, I think in this thing, because I'm not sure how old he was when he was... I could probably Google that and find out. I'm not sure how old he was when this movie started, but he doesn't look particularly young.
Yeah.
So let's just go to the IMDb. So Ronnie Cox was born in 1938, so he would have been close to 50 by the time.
Wow, he looks older than that.
Yeah, I think it's just the grey hair,
Possibly. But he kind of looks... He's just always looked the same. Like, even now, he just kind of looks the same.
Well, I think the funny thing is, in Total Recall, which is only a few years later, he looks older. Like, I'm not sure if they just added some, liver spot makeup or something like that, but he does look older. Shit, he's still acting. His last released film was in 2019, and some things are still in post-production. Oh, you'll love this. He plays...
The car? He was in the car.
He plays a character called Waits in the Car, Road to Revenge.
Yeah, I was just about to say, The Car is actually... Okay, it's not a great movie, but I did have to watch it for my sentient car essay, which it's getting there. It's getting there, guys. But he's probably one of the better things in it. He plays this alcoholic character, and he has the most humanity of any of the characters in that movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a bad performance out of him. He's always been he's just one of those guys.
It's really fascinating. I've been going through my 80s phase, watching a lot of 80s TV and all of that. And when I started out, some of the more famous actors, obviously, if you watch Airwolf, I know who Ernest Borgnine is, Knight Rider, everyone knows David Hasselhoff, obviously. But the more I watched, I'd suddenly go, hang on, that woman who was in one episode of Airwolf, she's in The Car, or just finding all these different connections, and suddenly I'm recognizing more and more people. So it is almost like time traveling, where at first there was no familiar landmarks, and then bit by bit it says, oh no, I feel like I was actually there.
No, it's really interesting when you go to certain periods of TV where you just get all these younger up and coming, or people just trying to find work, and so you get a lot of especially murder mysteries or procedurals where they're trying to make hundreds of episodes, so they're just trying to find any actor to get in to do a part.
Oh my god, so many people got their start on Miami Vice. Like Bruce Willis, that was one of his first acting roles, and he was good. He was really good at that.
But so yeah, it is kind of amazing. The one that comes to mind for British TV is The Bill.
Yes. Oh, everyone's on the bill. Or what you call it? Street, bloody Coronation Street.
EastEnders and Coronation Street. Yeah. But like I think was it Catherine Tate, now like phenomenally well famous like comedian. She apparently was on the bill 3 times playing 3 different characters that pretty much had all the same lines. Like the person the cops go to visit to get the tip to go to the next person, that kind of role.
Oh, they did that all the time in Knight Rider. You'd have an actor playing very similar characters. There's one, her name's Mickey, at least in one of them. But she's like this real, kind of airheaded, bit of a Harley Quinn kind of girl. And, plays 2 characters exactly like that, but apparently not the same person. It's never commented upon. It's just okay.
Oh, I'm trying to remember which movie it was, but there's it was a movie where it's just like we're looking for this type of person. Insert actor here, and it's just like, why don't you just ask this actor? And they're like, nah, they'll never do it.
Yeah.
And immediately it's just like, yeah, we asked the person, they said yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many times I go, we're looking for this type, but not that person exactly. Obviously,
Yeah.
you can't do that. But
I know they did that for a fact in Archer. They were looking for a Jessica Walters type, and someone just said, "Well, we'll just ask Jessica Walters." Mm-hmm. They're like, "Nah, she'll never do that." And she
she did.
Yes.
She's a legend. Rest in peace. What a legend.
Yeah, rest in power. She was brilliant.
Yeah. So I guess back in the day, because people couldn't rewatch these shows, and because you could kind of tape things off the TV at that point. But yeah, if you probably didn't watch every single episode of Knight Rider, and even so, when they reuse actors, it tends to be about 2 or 3 seasons apart. So even if you go, I think I've seen her before, you can't confirm it.
Well, even if you did have, say, like you taped off TV, you weren't really binge watching things because, there were quite a lot of tapes and a lot of, and unless you cut out the adverts, you got a lot of things. It took a lot of work. But even like with syndication and reruns and stuff like that, people still didn't really notice this type of stuff. Look at Star Trek.
Well, shit. It's exactly what I was hoping to spare you from.
It was one of the most heavily... I wasn't deliberately trying to cry about it, but yeah, it was just one of those shows that got massively popular through reruns. And even then, the fans were hardcore, but they didn't necessarily binge watch it. They just kept rewatching the reruns because there was just no way to keep watching it unless there was that guy who somehow had a recording and they could take it to a convention or something like that.
I'm trying to replicate the way 80s television works. So when I watch one episode a night of about 3 different shows, and
oh wow,
yeah, even though sometimes I go, oh man, it's got me hooked, I want to go to the next. No, I'm trying to do it the old-fashioned way. Well,
you've also got to remember there's scheduling conflicts as well. So if this is back in, VHSs were around, but they were expensive or they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to watch MacGyver on one channel and Miami Vice is on the other, you're screwed.
That's it. They were deliberately playing off each other to get network dominance. So there was a very good opportunity that, say Magnum PI, MacGyver, and Miami Vice, Knight Rider, there were 3 major channels, and they might have all put their best one on at that one particular time, and see how the ratings happen.
It's so foreign to me.
Yeah, we have it good in that context, but then we also have the other flip side with binge content, where
it's just too much to watch, and I don't know which ones to watch.
Yeah, we got was it Executive Dysfunction? Is it called?
Yes.
Well, yeah, too many options, and we just go, oh fuck it, I'm just going to watch Knight Rider.
Yeah, at least when I watch TV, it tends to be for a purpose. If there's some kind of research for a project or whatever, so it's not just what do I feel like watching. It's what can I learn?
Well, I essentially stopped watching television close to 15 so years ago. Like, I just don't. I've never hooked up an antenna to a TV since then. I just stopped watching TV because just the whole idea of sitting in front of the TV and just channel surfing to watch something just got to boring and redundant.
Actually, free-to-air TV. No, I don't think I watched it. Yeah, probably 15 years at this, 20 years maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and like my parents will still like veg out in front of the TV. They have shows they like to watch. That's fair enough. But they'll also like it comes nighttime. They're not just searching free to air or whatever to watch things. They'll just put on. They'll get some like a movie off Netflix or binge watch a show like that or something like that. So,
weird thing is though. So apparently this isn't. I mean, this is only a very small sample size, but maybe this isn't the case around the world. Because I had a Colombian housemate, and he was 19 at the time, and he would just come home from work, put the TV on, and then he would just scroll through his phone. But he didn't care what was on. It was just whatever was on the TV. It was just as background noise. It was so strange.
yeah. No, that is a thing a lot of people do. And we're so far off the track, I'm just realizing, but that's okay. We kind of talked a lot about what's going on in this scene in the previous minute.
Yeah,
but,
can you tell we don't have much? I do have notes, so I guess we should jump to that.
Yeah, I do have a couple of notes. Although the one note I do really want to talk about, I already talked about in the last one, is Norton's line being not in anything else. But it is how we consume media is very interesting. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of relevant to the show anyway.
Back to RoboCop.
Dick calls RoboCop an unholy monster, and I think this is the
Yes.
first time we've seen someone express some kind of understandable disgust
Yes.
at RoboCop.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if that's. I mean, this is probably the case that Dick's one of the few people who actually knows the true extent of what's being done here, and it's true body horror, but to anyone looking on the outside, it's just like, oh, it's a guy in a robot suit. It's fine.
Yeah, like I guess that's the thing. If you're an outside observer, I mean, we of course have intimate knowledge of kind of what the process was, but to an outside observer, they're probably either thinking, oh, this is just a robot with a man's face, or they're thinking, oh, it's just a dude in a suit.
Yeah.
That's probably the two likely extremes they can think of, whereas anyone in the inner OCP circle, or anyone who kind of knows Murphy, well, St. Louis, kind of just goes, no, this is kind of fucked.
Yeah. I was actually having this discussion with my brother the other day. I was talking about a movie called... This is relevant, I swear.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Boxing Helena, which is a movie directed by David Lynch's daughter. Very obscure, but look, I've watched some terrible things.
Heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, I've watched some terrible things for Cheryl and Fenn. Let's just put that out there. But, yeah. So it's about this woman who, long story short, so this guy is obsessed with her, stalking her and all of that, and she conveniently gets into an accident that he witnesses, and he takes her home and amputates her legs. And he's a doctor, so he knows how to do that. So they don't play it for the true horror it is, and that's that's a movie I'd love to see remade, because I think there's a lot there to be.
So is it Boxing Helena because he chops off her legs to make her easier to carry?
So he puts her in this little display box. So at first she should.
Oh, she literally does that.
Mm-hmm. So he takes her legs off, and she's still very strong-willed, hates him, very aggressive, trying to escape, trying to save herself, and then he cuts her arms off. And so
Jesus.
she wait. The shot they reveal is actually quite good. So you don't know she's had her arms cut off, but she's unconscious, but she's propped upright. Beautiful makeup, hair. She looks like a doll, white dress, flowers all around her. And like, what the hell is it? And you zoom out. She's in this little sort of box thing. And you zoom out. She's got no arms and no legs. And it's like, see, now you need me. Now no one else will look after her.
I am glad we don't have face cam on, because you're probably looking at just this horrified expression on my face.
Oh, I'd be
literally had my
mirroring
jaw
it.
open for like, wow.
I think it is a fantastic... an execution. It's a very low budget. So the effects aren't that believable. And it kind of looks like it was filmed like a soap opera. But I think the concepts are so powerful. You're talking about how women are, in this case, very literally objectified. She's just this pretty little doll to put on display for this man. He can't relate to her as a human being.
Jesus.
And... the body horror is so wonderful.
Wow.
And tying it all back in, I think, RoboCop, I'll give the remake credit, and we've talked about this before, just showing that true horror of what has been taken and the implications of that, it's hard to do in a visual medium, funny enough. I
Yeah.
think the written word can really go into the psychology and the horror, the nauseating feeling of violation. It's hard to do visually.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why in, say, the original one, you get a lot of that POV where when RoboCop's being constructed, as we've kind of overthought this, we just realize this is probably a brain in the jar kind of situation. Like, he's just, like, they've literally just got this brain in a jar on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, and so, like, unless you kind of think about it in a very conscious level, you don't realize just the extent of what happened to Murphy in this process. Well, something we'll get to way down the line. In RoboCop 2, when Murphy is dismantled, that freaked me the hell out as a kid.
Oh, and also something like Darth Vader. You know, when you finally see what's actually left of him, either in the original movies or, you know, Revenge of the Sith, just seeing him all burnt up. It's like, oh, Jesus. Like, you finally get it. Because when you see the whole costume on, you just go, oh, yeah, this just looks bitchin'. I don't know.
It's just a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a very tall dude. Yeah, so I think it's one of those things where, it's definitely a hard thing to convey. And especially when you're dealing with something like that, that's supposed to be at least surface level a silly popcorn film like RoboCop is. And they have the layered subtlety and the critique. But it's, at the end of the day, it's still a movie that's an action movie that's supposed to get butts on seats.
Yes.
So you tend to put that stuff as subtext. You know, I'm going to skip to some of the commentary notes here because, you bring up one of the best lines is also, so in the actual script it says, you better hope that unholy creation of yours doesn't screw up. And I think they call it Unholy Monster. So it's slightly changed, but not the... It was a deliberate allusion to Frankenstein.
I thought so, yes. As the resident Frankenstein expert.
Yeah, that's it. A word of God. They point this out in the commentary that the two allusions they specifically went for in this type of stuff in the movie is Frankenstein and Christ. And they even point out that they were so glad that they got a director that kind of got that and went with it. So that was very deliberate. And I think this is the first time we actually get to see the Frankenstein allusion actually even mentioned in this. And I don't think it really comes up that much, but who is the real monster in this situation? And Morton does come across a bit monsterish in that aspect. But you've also got that thing in sci-fi of, again, anti-intellectualism, who are we to defy God, and blah 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 blah. But
He is more machine now than man.
Twisted and evil, yes.
Actually, I think the way this minute ends is quite fitting because he talks about, Unholy Monster, and then this is probably one of the few moments in this movie that you truly see how inhuman RoboCop is. He has no privacy or comfort or any vestiges of humanity left. He's stored in a lab.
Yeah, but then literally in the next minute, or in this scene, we start to see those brief glimpses of humanity start to come back, and this is why I freaking love this film. Is this journey that Murphy goes through? He's never going to be entirely human, but at least can get his humanity back. So I do have a note for this particular moment in the movie, the post toilet scene. That plot ters. I do love the computer stuff. I really do.
Yes. It's just 80s technology. There's a charm to it. There really is. But
there really is.
Yeah, I wonder when RoboCop or Murphy gets his humanity back, how does he live? I mean, he's not in a lab anymore. Does he choose to lie down in a bed just for familiarity? How's he living his life?
Unfortunately, by the time when we see the other two movies, he's still essentially in a cage with technicians. So I guess
what sequels? They never made any sequels or remakes. This movie is perfect, so they just went, "You'll leave it alone."
Yeah. I'm sorry. I think I just jumped into an alternate dimension where unfortunately there was just a line of never-ending RoboCop products that were just not even a shadow of a pale imitation of the original thing. I would love to live in the universe where that never happened.
Yep.
Oh, I do have an interesting note. 49 seconds into this, when after the confrontation, Dick Jones walks away. So there's a great acting moment with Miguel Ferrer where he does kind of... Dick walks away and he kind of just, like, deflates after the confrontation.
It's like, whew, okay.
Brilliant acting moment.
Yes.
Love it. It's so good.
Yeah, I think he sells the entire inner experience of Morton so perfectly.
Yeah, I think that's the audience reaction as well. Is like, you've just gone up against this titan and you've come out of it. Not necessarily on top, but you've come out of it.
Relatively unscathed.
You're feeling that.
Yeah.
There's just one problem.
Mm-hmm.
If you look in the mirror, you can see that Ronnie Cox, walks out of shot, and you can see in the mirror he walks out of shot, and then you can see him just standing there, like it's technically offset, and he's just standing there. I've never noticed it before. This is great acting moment. Like
it doesn't hold too long, so it's not so bad.
No. I know, but it's still funny to look at.
Because it definitely looks like he's turned and he's looking back at Miguel. So yeah.
When we're talking about the screen, we do tend to have object permanence. If something's not on screen, it's not there. So.
Yeah. Wow, I never ever noticed. That's so funny.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things where, Dick Jones is left.
Are we the first people who have ever noticed this? Let's add it to IMDb trivia.
I have no idea. But it's, in visual language, off-screen is gone. So, so Morton wouldn't have this moment of vulnerability if Dick was still there. So when Dick leaves, we assume he's gone out of the room, and then that's when he kind of exiles and...
Surely that door opened. It wasn't a fake door. Like, he could have walked out of it.
Yeah. I don't know, but we're just talking about visual language here. We're shortcutting time. We're not going to have, Morton, like, creeping around the door, making sure Dick Jones has left or something like that. So it's just...
It gets the point across.
It gets the point across. And you don't...
Is this the first mistake in the most perfect movie of the 1980s? Maybe.
No, we did have the bounce out the window from the guy.
Oh, yeah. 2 mistakes.
Every movie has mistakes, but the great thing about this kind of thing, it's not plot contradictory, it's just a thing that's off screen. You don't notice it, but I just caught it as I was watching it. I've never seen it before, and it just made me laugh so hard. It's the kind of stuff you get when you're reading into a movie deeply, or you're doing something like a minute by minute. And so you're pausing it occasionally and just went, oh shit.
Yeah, good eye. I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's just because, again, if you're watching the scene, you're paying attention to...
Yeah, I was so looking at Morton's face during the whole thing.
You're so invested in that. I think I was pausing it because I was taking notes in the commentary, and I looked up and I went, oh shit. So I had to rewind and rewatch it. It made me laugh so hard, but I still love it. I still love it.
Still love it.
Oh, so in the commentary, Ed Neumeyer does acknowledge this as the homoerotic part.
Okay, good, very good.
And Paul points out that he just talks about how great Ronnie Cox's acting is in this particular moment. And, fair due, I think both of them just... have you heard that thing where it's like... it's usually alluded to in tennis where if you're not, say, a professional tennis player, but you go up against a professional tennis player, you up your game. You try and up your game to match the professionalism of the thing. And you got 2 great actors here, and you can just see them just like, they're bouncing off each other and they're playing off. And so, they both deserve some really good credit here. And that's pretty much me done.
Yep.
Because everything else I talked about in the previous minute.
Yeah, all right. Well, gaslighting RoboCop.
Alex, how do you feel?
I feel fine, Dr. Morton.
This minute begins with a woman protecting her son in the simulation and ends with Murphy actually emoting with an angry face.
Well, I got 2 notes here, because I wrote one down, which is, I wouldn't buy that for $1. Oh, sorry, quotations. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't buy that for $1. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's a small joke with monumental implications. I mean, first of all, he twists the quote, so it doesn't really work. You're saying the opposite of the joke.
Yeah.
And the reference doesn't stand on its own. And
No.
why that doesn't work is because, well, first of all, you already have to be familiar with RoboCop. It's sort of like
Exactly.
putting Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness, but not establishing who the fuck Khan is or why that matters.
Oh, fuck. That big moment where it's just like, I am Khan Noonien
Khan.
Soong. And you kind of should just have like a cutaway to Kirk and Spock go,
Just
who?
question marks floating around, just, hey, computer, who the fuck is Khan? Do you know?
Well, it makes more sense when Kelvin Spock talks to old Spock, and it's like, what do you know about Khan Noonien Soong? And then you get the eyebrow raised. That's more effective in that sense of, this is somebody that knows who they're talking about.
Yeah, there's significance there.
But it still relies on... Okay, so this is the biggest problem with reboots and remakes in general, is that...
Oh, this minute typifies all of that, yeah.
Yeah, they use shortcuts because they rely on people knowing what the original one is. Which is not so bad when you're talking about sequels and stuff like that. You really should... It's really kind of a thing where you kind of should know what you're going into when you're dealing with a sequel.
It's interesting though with theater. You know, theater essentially remakes over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But they never treat it like, oh, well, I don't have to actually do this for real. We can just do a little nod to it because you already know Shakespeare or what. No, every single time you tell that story, it's the Stan Lee principle. This is someone's first time experiencing this story.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. I mean, it gets a bit ridiculous when, like, you got thought bubbles of Spider-Man going every single episode. Well, ever since I got bitten by that radioactive spider, but they usually will have like a caption at the beginning of like a thing. So there's always got to be a small amount of assumed knowledge.
Yeah.
With long-standing franchises, that's fine. But when you're dealing with a new property, you want to add a nod like that. Fine. You know what? Yeah, whatever. In the context of this movie, it's like, it doesn't make sense. Maybe if they had like some TV thing of like, even just a background thing of like, a Bixby Snyder knockoff. I buy that for $1.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason why it doesn't work is that it implies that this world is the same as in the original film, which is totally disregarding how tonally different these films are. Are you telling me that in this world we have this cheesy 80s sitcom that is just grotesque and cartoonish and that's still in the air? Or is he just a fan of 80s television and this is actually a thing that happened in the actual, like the literal 80s, even though RoboCop, the original story, takes place in the future? Like, what the fuck is this? It didn't take the time to establish what that means. It is just like, you've seen the original RoboCop, you know what this means, but no, it's missing the point.
So this is one of the biggest problems with something like, say, the modern DC EU, where a lot of there's deconstruction going on in regards to, say, Superman. They're really heavily on. Okay, the Snyder fans are going, it's just deconstructionism, but part of deconstruction relies on knowing what you're deconstructing.
Yeah, I think just a really prime example that works, I feel, is the Spider-Man movies. So the Sam Raimi ones are basically the foundation, because that was the first time you really had a big major motion picture for Spider-Man. So it went through the entire origin. It's very... as I've been talking about lately, modernist. It's modernist. It's not really referencing anything else. Whereas Amazing Spider-Man 2...
Exactly.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 is actually in a very weird middle ground because it's not completely departing. It is making you go through that entire origin story again for the millionth time.
Do you mean Amazing Spider-Man 1?
Yeah.
Because the thing I hated about Amazing Spider-Man 1, they do the origin story, but they fuck it up.
Yeah.
They have the Uncle Ben death, and then they completely forget to do it.
It's this ultimate Spider-Man type thing. But then you've got the current Spider-Man, Homecoming and all of that. I think that works really well because you've got it. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is, but it's still kind of showing you this kid's early adventures as that character. So that's, I think, a great example of how we do modern storytelling remakes or whatever retellings.
Yeah, I've seen critical negative reviews on stuff about Homecoming, like going, why didn't they show the Uncle Ben thing? And it's just like going, we've seen the Uncle Ben thing twice. They reference Uncle Ben, or at least they reference that, he died, but in the Homecoming, his origin story is about him learning. We get to know Spidey through him learning the Stark tech.
Yeah.
Which is a very interesting way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a very different Spider-Man too, and that's also appreciated.
Yes.
He actually has resources. He has access to money and the Avengers, and he's not starting out at the very bottom where I think a lot of superhero stories have gone many, many times before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're showing a very different retelling, whereas I think we come back to this a lot with this RoboCop is it seems to have a lot of things that it almost wants to say, but it never commits to any of it enough to
That's it.
actually make this something stand out as a product in its own right.
Yeah, it's got things it wants to say, but it wants to, at the same time, go... This is the problem I have with the Superman in the DCEU. It's simultaneously going, this isn't your daddy's Superman, while at the same time going, this is exactly the same guy. We're not doing too much different. You know all the stuff about him, but it's not the same guy. But it is, but it's not. But it's
love him like
frustrating.
Christopher Reeve, but also can we make him edgy and murder people for no good reason?
Yeah,
like you can't have both ways.
It relies on nostalgia while simultaneously slapping you upside the head, saying you got to ignore that. We don't want to light and fluffy. We want dark and edgy. But we want you to still rely on your nostalgia for the light and fluffy. I think
somehow, Captain America gets that balance perfectly right, where he's a very much a modern character living in the modern world with the modern issues, but he's also that very optimistic character of the past.
Yeah.
So,
in regards to say Captain America, while he's had a cultural impact,
he's not Superman. Yeah,
he's not had the impact that he has had since the first Avengers. The first Avenger, or specifically the Avengers. We have so many big representations on screen, in franchise, in pop culture, Superman, Batman. So it becomes difficult when they're going, this is a character you love, but this isn't the character you love.
I have to wonder, in the long run, decades from now, how is this time going to be remembered? Will we, other than, the MCU and all of that, which again is not totally original either, this period of film history is going to be so derivative. It does not stand out on its own. It lacks a cultural identity.
I think the identity itself is about the franchise. It's the larger context of the...
It's the era of the franchise. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. It is all about familiarity and playing upon, particularly 80s nostalgia. It doesn't have anything new to say. It's just, here is that product you already love.
Well, people think of, say, the 80s of the start of the blockbuster, and which is pretty fair. I mean, we still get blockbusters now, but I think at least in the Hollywood system, the Hollywood mentality is blockbusters are all well and good, but we need longevity. And the way you get longevity is through a franchise.
Yep.
So this literally does predate the MCU, because this is kind of why Harry Potter was for like a 10-year movie franchise, because they went, we've got this zeitgeist, this big property, this billion-dollar property, and we can make 7 movies out of it, ultimately 8, because they split one up. And that was a financial reason as well. We can make another movie and make more money.
Yeah.
And so by the time that franchise was going, and that was a franchise, we've had franchises before, like Bond is a big franchise.
Yeah.
That just comes to mind, like almost 50 years worth of movies. Bond is a character, whereas Harry Potter is a franchise. There's settings, there's characters, there's an over arc. And I think the problem with Harry Potter as a franchise, money-wise, is that there's a definitive end. Yeah, we had more movies and other stuff, but nothing has had the cultural impact of those original 7 books. MCU is now the logical successor, where it's a matter of like, we're just plugging in the next story and we're going to play the next character card.
Comics never end. Comics just go on forever. Hey,
Yeah,
by the way,
it.
did you know that RoboCop uses Bing?
I forgot that. No, this is my other note. Apparently the Droid Free Press shoots everything on an iPhone.
Yep. It's just... and
so wobbly.
so in this minute, Murphy's looking up news reports about his own death and stuff, and he sees Lewis, his partner, that, he's in this movie, I guess.
Oh yeah, he's still alive.
Yeah. He's like, oh man, I'll find out who did this, and I'll kill him, or whatever. It's just like, okay. I don't. And then my only other note was, Joel Kinnaman, it mostly very generic looking man, but he does have golden colored eyes. I never noticed until this minute. That's very unusual.
I wasn't paying. I kind of just switched off again. After Rorschach left the screen, I just kind of just like, yeah.
I like our version of that scene much better, and it would have given Rorschach and Gary Oldman more to do. So.
Yeah, more. Was it Jackie Earl?
Jackie Earl, yeah.
Yes, got it right. More of them, more of these two great actors, and less just Roboflag looking sad. I mean, I'm trying not to bag on Joel Kinnaman, but yeah, just this scene does nothing except to establish that apparently the criminal investigation has been handled by the two most corrupt cops ever. I don't remember if it even pays off. That's how little I kind of gave about this kind of subplot. Yeah,
well, that's all my minutes for this scene.
Yeah, I think we've crapped on this movie enough for 1 minute. So where can the lovely viewers find you?
You can find me at traviandesigns.com, patreon.com/traviandesigns, Courtney Colson on YouTube, and The Greatest Regeneration on Instagram.
And you can find me on Fandom Crossing on Facebooks and YouTubes. Also, go check out Helios Photos. I post cool photography stuff that I've been doing. I include some cool photo shoots with a fairly obscure cosplayer. I'm not sure if you've heard of her or not, but we did a Bumblebee and Akira one. But go and check us out on Spotify, Simplecast, Apple, Google's, all that shit. Feed the algorithm, write review, do all that stuff.
Until next time.
I once called the old man funny names. Iron Boner, Robo Boner.